discusses that can shape the maritime blue economy in Africa. This bilingual live broadcast from the stable of Maritime TV Africa is here, and live conversation engages experts and stakeholders around the world in discusses on policies, developments, and events within the maritime blue economy in Africa. My name is Asenime, your host, and with me is our own dear Ifoma Wagbogu, who will be facilitating the French translation. Hello, Ifoma. Good to have you back. How are you?
Hello, Asenime. I'm fine. It's good to be back. Bonjour, chers téléspectateurs. Live Conversations est de retour et nous vous souhaitons la bienvenue de cette deuxième série. Quelle joie! Nous sommes ravis d'être de retour et merci de vous joindre à nous. Il sera question ici des débats qui peuvent façonner l'économie maritime et bleue en Afrique. Cette diffusion bilingue en direct provient de l'écurie de Maritime TV Africa. Et comme d'habitude, sur Live Conversations, nous engageons des experts et des parties prenantes du monde entier dans des débats sur les politiques, les développements et les événements au sein de l'économie maritime et bleue en Afrique. Avec notre hôte Asenime, je m'appelle Ifoma Wagbogu.
All right, so should you want to reach Maritime TV Africa or share any stories or ideas on the maritime blue economy in Africa, please send us an email at maritimetvafrica@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at www.maritimetvafrica.com for more content. Also, remember to follow us on social media handles, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X at Maritime TV Africa.
Si vous souhaitez contacter Maritime TV Africa ou partager des histoires ou des idées sur l'économie maritime et bleue en Afrique, veuillez envoyer un email à maritimetvafrica@gmail.com. Vous pouvez également visiter notre site internet www.maritimetvafrica.com pour plus de contenu. Aussi, n'oubliez pas de nous suivre sur les différents réseaux sociaux avec notre identifiant @Maritime TV Africa. Merci.
So at this time, we would kindly ask you to take a second to repost or share this live broadcast, invite someone to join this very important conversation. Also, drop your comments and questions, and we will be glad to engage you.
En ce moment, nous vous demandons de bien vouloir prendre une seconde pour rediffuser ou partager cette émission en direct. Invitez quelqu'un à se joindre à cette conversation importante. Finalement, veuillez déposer vos commentaires et questions et nous serons heureux de dialoguer avec vous. Merci.
The inland waterways are a huge part of Africa's blue economy. Every body of water within any nation constitutes our inland waterways, and Africa's coast is estimated to be about 30,500 kilometers. The African Union says the inland waters are a part of Africa's maritime domain, while the African Development Bank estimates that the blue economy could contribute up to $1.5 trillion to Africa's GDP by 2030. How Africa can make its inland waterways work is the focus of today's discourse, as we discuss taking advantage of the blue economy, why Africa's inland waterways must work.
Les voies navigables intérieures représentent une part importante de l'économie d'Afrique. Chaque masse d'eau d'un pays constitue une eau intérieure et le littoral de l'Afrique est estimé à environ 30 500 km. L'Union africaine affirme que les eaux intérieures font partie du domaine maritime de l'Afrique, tandis que la Banque africaine de développement estime que l'économie bleue pourrait contribuer à hauteur de 1,5 milliard de dollars au PIB de l'Afrique d'ici 2030. Comment l'Afrique peut-elle faire fonctionner ses voies navigables intérieures et, ce faisant, tirer parti de l'économie bleue? C'est la discussion du jour. Profiter de l'économie bleue, pourquoi les voies navigables intérieures de l'Afrique doivent fonctionner.
All right, so joining us on Live Conversations to share his thoughts and knowledge on the topic is our own Professor Charles Asenime. He is the Professor of Urban and Regional Transport Planning, Inclusive Mobility, Inland Waterways, Transport and Logistics, and he is also the Dean at the School of Transport and Logistics, Lagos State University, Nigeria. Professor Asenime is also a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Transportation of Nigeria, CIOTA. He's a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT, and the Nigerian Institute of Shipping. He's worked on several projects for organizations like the World Bank, Lagos State Government, the Volvo Research Foundation, to mention a few. Please join us this morning as we welcome Professor Asenime to the show. We're glad you made it here today, Prof. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Le professeur Charles Asenime se joint à nous sur Live Conversations pour partager ses réflexions et ses connaissances sur le sujet. Il est professeur de planification urbaine et régionale des transports, de mobilité inclusive et de transport fluvial et logistique. Il est également doyen de la faculté de transport et de logistique de l'Université de l'État de Lagos au Nigeria. Le professeur Asenime est membre de plusieurs instituts professionnels au Nigeria. Il a aussi travaillé sur plusieurs projets pour des organisations telles que la Banque mondiale, le gouvernement de l'État de Lagos, la Volvo Research Foundation, pour n'en citer que quelques-uns. Bienvenue sur Live Conversations, professeur Charles Asenime. Nous sommes heureux que vous ayez pu être ici. Bienvenue.
Yes, welcome again, Prof. Let's just begin from the beginning, I like to say. So what does Africa's inland waterways look like? You know, what does it comprise? Could you let us into that? Let's begin from that point.
Commençons par le début, comme je dis toujours. Prof, à quoi ressemblent les voies navigables intérieures d'Afrique? Que comprennent-elles?
All right, I hope you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't want to be sure. Well, African Inland Waterway is one of the very vast, one of the biggest you can get in the whole world. Although half of the African landmass has no.
Okay, I will get him back soon.
Rivers, which stretches about 670 kilometers inland. It's one of the longest in the world. That is second only to the Amazon River. Second only to the Amazon River.
Which
in
is
South America.
I lost you for a bit earlier. Prof, could you recap on that?
Okay. Africa has a vast network of inland waterways, especially in the West and Central Africa and part of Southern Africa in the continent. You look at some of the major rivers we have in Africa. You talk about the River Niger, the River Benue, River Congo, River Zambezi, the White and the Red Nile, and the Orange River in South Africa, in Southern Africa rather. So Africa has it. And what we're looking at is how we're going to utilize this particular.
We lost him for a bit again.
Okay, if I can just, si je peux dire...
Hello?
Okay, you're back now. We lost
Sorry.
you for a bit.
Just the network here is so bad. So like I said, what you just left is for us to be able to utilize these resources very, very well for the economic gain of the continent. So if to talk about inland water transportation, Africa has the potentials to utilize it to the maximum. Thank you.
Bon, merci pour la question. La voie navigable africaine est probablement la plus étendue du monde. Elle traverse toute la longueur du continent. Et si nous parlons des fleuves que nous avons en Afrique, ça parle du Nil blanc et rouge, le fleuve Niger, le Congo, le Limpopo, Zambèze et le fleuve Orange en Afrique du Sud. Ce sont des immenses rivières qui orientent vers l'intérieur des terres. Et je peux dire que les voies navigables intérieures sont donc clés de la grande richesse de l'Afrique. Cela nous permettra donc de détourner notre attention du transport routier et développer cette haute voie. En résumé, si je dois résumer, le potentiel des voies navigables intérieures africaines est énorme. Nous avons beaucoup de potentiel.
All right, Prof, tell us about the importance, how critical the infrastructure is to the blue economy, the waterways. How critical is this to the blue economy?
Dites-nous, Prof, quelle est l'importance et le caractère critique des voies navigables intérieures pour l'économie bleue?
Well, thank you very much. The African Inland Waterway is very important to the blue economy. Now, this issue of blue economy we talk about has been on, just that more attention has been focused on it in recent times. If you look at the inland waterways, we can use inland waterways to service the dry ports, for fishing, for tourism, for the movement of barges from one port to another port, for the movement of agricultural goods, movement of petroleum products, and movement of passengers within the inland waterway network. And also, it will surprise you to know that of the 36 states we have in the country, 28 are actually linked by inland water transportation. Then also, we can have fishing ports and markets at those inland waterways. So it is very, very critical to the blue economy. Now that we're trying to take our attention off fossil fuel from petroleum products, we're looking at, we have exploited the land. Let's now exploit the oceans and the inland waterways. So it is very, very key. There's so much we can do with it. I can just listed out to all of us. Thank you.
Merci. Je dois dire que c'est très important, les voies navigables pour l'Afrique. Nous pouvons de là développer la pêche, le tourisme, faire bouger les gens, les passagers, etc., aussi bien que les produits pétroliers. Je dois dire, c'est pas que ça n'a pas existé, ça a toujours existé. Nous savons que les voies navigables étaient là, les gens l'utilisaient pour la pêche maintenant, mais c'est que ça a autant plus d'importance maintenant qu'il y a l'attention sur l'économie bleue. Donc, je peux dire que maintenant, il est temps, en se prenant l'avantage de l'attention qu'on a mise sur l'économie bleue, de bouger de la voie routière et faire valeur les voies navigables. Nous avons beaucoup de potentiel, des choses que nous pouvons faire, comme j'ai déjà signalé. Nous pouvons construire des embarcadères de classe mondiale, là où nous allons faire les poissonneries, une zone industrielle, ainsi bien que la transformation des poissons. Il y a beaucoup de potentiel.
All right, Prof, I feel like you're holding back, because would like you to get into the very detail of this conversation. Let's not like an exam question, So I know you're versatile in this field, and we've had these conversations before. How would you rate Africa's mindfulness or performance in terms of the development of inland waterways? And could you also cite examples of African nations that are advancing in this area?
Prof, je veux que nous allons plus en profondeur dans cette discussion. Comment évaluerez-vous l'attention et la performance de l'Afrique en termes de développement de voies navigables intérieures? Pourrez-vous aussi citer quelques pays africains qui progressent dans ce domaine?
Over to you, Prof. Okay. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Like I said, not much advantage has been taken by most African countries in trying to fully utilize the inland water transportation for this purpose of utilizing the blue economy. But with some few countries, let's take Egypt, for instance. Egypt has been able to utilize it because if you look at travels from the White Nile, the Red Nile up to Egypt, and how the Suez Canal was cut open. You know, the canal wasn't existing. It was just a land that borders around the Red Sea. Now it was opened up by the French and I think the British later to ensure that ship move from the Mediterranean, from Europe. Because if you are going to take, you want to travel if you are going to Asian countries, and you are coming from Europe, you have to do like 12,000 kilometers across, go around Africa to the Cape of Good Hope before you continue into the Indian Ocean to your trip. But with the cutting of the Suez Canal, you were able to have access to the Red Sea. Now the Red Sea has cut it down with more than 8,000 kilometers. So from the Mediterranean Sea, you can just go to the Red Sea, then you hit the Indian Ocean. So if there's any country that has taken advantage of the inland water transportation, is Egypt. Then again, we talk about Nigeria. Well, slightly, we have taken advantage of inland water transportation because if you look at the country, we have access from Warri, even from this Niger Delta, you can travel as far as Barrow, as far as the Sokoto River, then travel as far as the Benue up to Adamawa area using the River Benue. But the problem is that we have not taken full advantage of it because one thing I see is that we like focusing on the things on ground already. What is on ground? Everything is about road. But the inland water transportation can do so much to enhance the economy of Africa, to enhance the economy of Nigeria, then to fully utilize the potentials of the blue economy. I don't know that I should give it some of the, like I said, if you look at the uses, if you look at inland water transportation, the last time we barged some barges from Warri Port up to Onitsha, people do not believe that you can travel from Warri to Onitsha. It's very simple. Using through Patani and some other creeks around there, you get to Onitsha. Now the essence is that what NIWA is trying to do is to ensure that the waterways there are open, so we can fully utilize it. I can go on and on, naming some of the things, other areas that we've taken advantage of inland water transportation by opening up of the narrow areas that the path is not so deep. We open them up. So maybe I'll stop here now for her to translate, then I can give you the full details.
All right, thank you.
Ok, oui, pour citer, pour résumer, je donne l'exemple de l'Égypte, le canal de Suez. Il s'agissait avant d'un canal étréci qui a été agrandi pour augmenter le trafic en fonction de la demande. Maintenant, si on passe par le Nil blanc, le Nil rouge, qui a été agrandi par les Français pour faire ça raccourcit le temps, la durée des voyages de à peu près 800 km, ce qui est grand. Au Nigeria, qu'est-ce que je peux dire? Je peux dire oui, d'une certaine façon, nous avons utilisé ça, mais je pense que nous ne sommes pas aussi soucieux ni intentionnels dans notre façon de profiter de les voies navigables. Nous avons utilisé ça un peu si on voit accès de Warri en passant par le fleuve Benue, nous pouvons aller jusqu'à Sokoto et il y a NIWA, la Compagnie nationale des voies navigables intérieures du Nigeria qui donne le temps à faire transporter des barges de Warri jusqu'à Onitsha. Ça fut un grand exploit. Mais je pense que nous ne sommes pas intentionnels, nous n'avons pas fait assez d'attention parce que nous sommes susceptibles de suivre le mouvement. Nous nous concentrons sur les routes, les voies routières, ce qui fait que nous ne faisons pas attention pour développer les voies navigables. Et c'est dommage parce que nous avons beaucoup de potentiel là-dedans.
Okay, you may continue, Prof.
All right. Sometimes when you hear French, you wonder this little thing you say that they translate much in French. Okay, like I was saying, Nigeria is trying to optimally utilize inland water transportation. Like I said, what NIWA is trying to do, because part of what it could stand for is to use inland waterway to carry barges, to carry containers through barges. If you look at what is happening right now on our roads, our roads are damaged. NIWA was giving an estimate that if 5 million containers are moved on the road or are brought into Nigeria, that means we're talking about 5 million trailers, because if you talk about a 40-feet container, only one trailer will carry it. And if the 5 million are going to carry it up to Onitsha and other areas, and they're going to be returned back, that means we're talking about 10 million trips on our roads. Look at the Bini or a road that was newly constructed. You can see it bulking right now because of the weight of those containers. Those roads were not designed to carry so much of those weights, even though they are designed to carry heavy-duty trucks. But the load on it now, petroleum products passing, and the container passing, is so much for the road. The road is beginning to bulk, and many parts of it is failing. So what NIWA is trying to do is to see how, okay, where are the economic points that we can open up. But the problem to the opening up of channels, if you make the channel very wide, the draft reduces. So, and if the channel is very shallow, the draft will increase, but what can it carry? So there has to be a balance between the two. Also, for fishing, inland fishing is still on, whereby we can have small, medium-sized trawlers that will use the inland water transportation to do fishing or to move agricultural products. If you look at from the Benue area, the Benue corridor, up to Adamawa down, many agricultural products are wasted because accessibility to those farms are very limited. But with inland waterway, those things can be gathered in a hub, like a market, a jetty market, or they call it a fishing port or a market port, where those products can be consolidated and moved by inland water transportation down south or to any areas where they are needed. So we've not been able to optimally utilize that. Also, for moving petroleum products, why should a trailer carry petroleum products all the way from Lagos to going to Sokoto? The roads are damaged, accidents. Today you hear that a trailer falls and all the products are gone and can burn the whole community. But with inland, with barging, we can put those products in those areas and move them, even from Lagos to any part of. You can almost get to any part of Nigeria using inland water transportation, even as far as Sokoto, as far as some part of the northeast. You can move there using inland transportation. Also, the movement of passengers. You've seen recently in, I think it happened somewhere in Ilorin, where people were trying to move using boats, and they had they capsized, and it also happened in Sokoto. That of Sokoto happens almost every time, but most of these things are not reported, or people don't know. Now, these are some of the things we can use inland water transportation to do. Then to service dry ports. We are trying to bring up dry ports. It's not only the rails that can service dry ports. Also, inland water transportation can service dry ports, whereby they will take the barges to the nearest point close to the dry ports and can be moved to the dry ports by either rail or by road. So the potentials are enormous. We have started, but our start is still very low compared to what we have, because inland water transportation, Nigeria has one of the longest inland within the country, about more than 10,000 kilometers of inland water transportation, all including some lakes and some creeks. But we'll not be able to utilize up to 1/4 of it yet. Not yet. So let me stop here and I'll continue later.
Pour résumer, je veux dire que nous n'avons pas encore utilisé le potentiel. Vous imaginez de 36 États que nous avons au Nigeria, 28 d'entre eux sont liés à des voies navigables. Donc, ça veut dire qu'au Nigeria seulement, nous avons plus de 10 000 kilomètres de voies navigables. Ce qui veut dire que nous pouvons de n'importe où dans notre pays, le Nigeria, transmettre les choses n'importe où dans le pays par les voies navigables. Quelles sont les choses que nous pouvons faire, que ça peut faire? Ça va essayer de sauvegarder nos routes. Si nous imaginons que nous avons 5 millions de conteneurs qui doivent bouger, Ça suppose 5 millions de camions qui doivent bouger ça si nous devons se concentrer sur les routes. Les voies seront abîmées. Le transport des passagers, il y a les risques tout le temps de banditisme, le fait que les routes sont abîmées. Nous pouvons, en utilisant le potentiel que nous avons dans les voies navigables, sauvegarder ça. Il y a aussi le transport portuaire. Si nous trouvons l'interconnectivité du pays, là où se trouve la connexion pour les voies navigables, nous pouvons de là faire amener les choses du port par les chemins de fer. Et là aussi, ça va faciliter l'accès et le transport. Aussi, nous pouvons faire des embarcadères, les pôles d'embarcadères, là où nous pouvons faire les poissons. Ça sera comme un pôle de commerce. Il y aura les poissons, les transformations des poissons. Tout peut se faire là-bas. Donc, nous avons un grand potentiel que nous n'avons pas utilisé et c'est dommage.
All right, thank you, Foma. Prof, I know you've spoken to the benefits of inland water transportation, but when we talk about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, it's key that we develop inland waterways. I would like you to throw a bit light to what the continent would stand to gain, because that's intra-African market. So what are we going to stand to gain, as a continent?
Prof, vous avez déjà beaucoup de bénéfices, des profits de le développement des voies navigables. Mais je veux aussi maintenant que nous parlons du côté continental, c'est-à-dire l'Afrique. Compte tenu de l'accord de libre-échange continental africain, c'est-à-dire le ZECLAF, quels sont les avantages immédiats qu'une voie navigable développée offre au continent? Parce que là, il s'agit de commerce intracontinental. Quels sont les avantages?
Do I respond to that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I've always had the opinion, God has given us a natural highway, which is water. If you're going to use road, you must have to construct the road from your country to the other country. But waters don't have boundaries. Waters don't know any country. All they know is just to flow. And if we know that water don't know any country, we can use that advantage of the fact that water flows from one country to another country without break. Now let's look at West Africa. If I talk about the African Free Trade Agreement, if you look at West Africa, look at the river Niger that covers 5 countries. We have the ability to trade on a platter of gold. It is there already, natural, with the river Niger. We know that there are some challenges. Maybe there are some areas it is dammed, some areas are not so deep. But this is the time to take advantage of those areas, because you look at the dam itself, there is a canal built by the side that it's not that they dam the river completely. There's a canal by the side whereby boats can use to translate to other countries. 5 countries in the African Free Trade Agreement can do business. If you look at the Zambezi or the White Nile and the Red Nile, it cuts about almost 4 or 5 countries too. They can use it. All you don't need to do is to make it navigable all through the year. What are the things, if they go for echo sounding, they go for surveys, what are the things they discovered that is wrong or that can make it not to function for the purpose in which they want? It's to amend it. If it is depth, they can the flow of the water. If it is the size, they can cut the edges a little bit so that they can have bigger vessels to take. But in these days of technology, you don't have to use vessels that have so much draft. All you don't need to do is flat bottom vessels that can carry containers from one country to another country. So the potential through Inland Waterway to utilize the African Trade Agreement is already set for us. All we need to do now is to focus attention on it and remove a little attention or de-emphasize road for a while and focus on inland water transportation. It is safe. You have less pollution. Unlike trailers that can crash anytime, inland water transportation does not have that frequency of crashes. So if you look at, like I said, the White Nile, the Red Nile up to Egypt can be used. You look at the Zambezi River, it can service East Africa. If you look at that, the Orange River can service, it cuts Southern Africa almost into two. So you can see people, you can be able to utilize the water from South Africa up to the border to Angola. So if they want to move anything, they can move it. From Angola, you can move out to Zaire in the Central African Republic. So the thing is set already. All we need is to utilize it to get what we want in the African Trade Agreement. Thank you.
Oui, merci. Moi, comme je dis toujours, le bon Dieu nous a donné une voie naturelle pour le commerce. Nos voies navigables sont très importantes conformément à la ZECLAF car elle est légitime pour le commerce. Nous n'avons pas besoin de déligner. Vous ne pouvez pas empêcher une rivière de couler dans votre pays. Donc, c'est déjà fait. Les voies sont déjà tracées. Les rivières ne respectent pas de frontières. Si nous prenons le fleuve Niger qui traverse 5 pays africains, un accord commercial africain est donc une très bonne voie à suivre. Mais il faut que nous suivons l'exemple des fleuves qui ont déjà là, qui nous permettent de faire le commerce. Prenons l'Afrique de l'Ouest, par exemple, comme j'ai cité les 5 pays. Dans l'Égypte, le Nil blanc et rouge, il y a aussi l'interconnectivité là. Et ça nous donne beaucoup d'avantages, moins de polluants, c'est plus en sécurité. Et vous pouvez toucher beaucoup plus de pays et c'est moins cher. De l'Afrique du Sud, nous pouvons passer par Angola, nous pouvons aller comme ça et jusque monter pour faire les commerces. Donc, je dis, le ZECLAF est une bonne idée, c'est une initiative qui est la bienvenue et nous pouvons utiliser ça pour augmenter le commerce que nous faisons. Je pense que c'est une bonne chose.
All right, thank you again, Ifoma. Prof, yes, I agree with the need to de-emphasize, the roads and take on the inland water transportation. But you would agree with me that there is a place for research in development. We've also seen situations where governments and agencies had just begun, oh, we need to do this here, we need to do this here without a holistic plan or a research, built up and then development gets on from that research. Where we have just, for example, a government decides, since we're in Nigeria, I'll use the Nigerian example, to dredge River Niger without looking at what impact it's going to have on the other rivers or other inland waterways in another even 5 years' time. What does that do to the industry? I would like you to make a case for research-driven development, such that we don't just go begin to develop the inland waterways because we see that there is profit and there is need for it.
Prof, vous serez d'accord avec moi qu'il y a une place assez importante pour la recherche. Dans quelle mesure est-il important que le développement des eaux intérieures et les voies navigables d'un pays soit basé sur des recherches? Nous avons vu l'exemple où le fleuve Niger a été dragué sans recherche, sans tenir compte des autres facteurs qui peuvent engendrer des choses, quoi. Donc, je veux que vous nous fassiez un argument sur le bénéfice des recherches. Un argument sur le bénéfice des recherches. Merci.
All right, thank you very much. Truly, there's a place for, we need to have a research-driven development in the inland waterway transportation. It is not difficult. We have our national Nigerian Inland Waterway Authority, which is NIWA, which is an agency vested with so many powers to do a lot of things. We have Nigerian Navy, the department that does sounding and charting. We have the Maritime University in Okerekonko. We even have the Lagos State University School of Transport and Logistics. We have the School of Oceanography and Marine Research. These are schools that can help us do research on inland water transportation in Nigeria and see how, if they do dredging, they do cutting, how it will affect other rivers, like an environmental impact assessment. But I can tell you, the gains from inland water transportation is enormous. It's enormous. If you want to look at some people, because of laziness on the part of government, we don't like going into something new. Why not we look at it and say, I know during the regime, the federal government some time ago was trying to dredge the River Niger using very small dredgers. I saw them and I was wondering, what are they doing? We know we know what we want to get from it. Why don't we use small dredgers that would just be used to build house somewhere, to do something that is of national? So if we are going to do the research, we must do it in such a way that we will see the potential, we will see what we're going to gain from it. Then we'll go into it. And I can tell you, we can never do the research and go into it and it becomes negative. It must come out positive, because it's a natural resource given to us by God for us to use. And we must use it if we want to move forward as a nation. So we have the institutions to carry the research. Like I said, the Nigerian Navy Hydrographic Department is there. Oceanography is there. School of Transport and Logistics is there. We have Maritime Academy Oron is there. The Maritime University of Okerekonko is there. Even the new University of Transport in Daura is there. These are people, they have experts who can carry out researches and who can tell us, even with in conjunction with economists, who can tell us the visibility. We're not talking about whether it is visible now. What the level of gain we're going to get from it is what we're talking about right now. So it is there already, research-driven development in inland water transportation. All we need to do is to start it off. Thank you.
Pour ne pas prendre le temps, je résume. Nous avons le potentiel de faire les recherches. Nous avons les établissements pour le faire. Il y a la marine, il y a le NIWA, il y a l'Université de l'État de Lagos, l'école d'océanographie. Nous avons beaucoup d'écoles pour faire les recherches. Les recherches sont très importantes. Il suffit de commencer. Je pense que c'est la paresse au niveau du gouvernement, mais si nous disons, nous allons faire les recherches, le potentiel est là, nous avons les écoles pour le faire pour nous. Et là, nous allons voir en fait le bénéfice, le potentiel que nous avons à développer les voies navigables.
Prof, thank you very much. This is about all that time would let us take on the show today. I know definitely that I would have you back and this conversation would continue. It's always refreshing to have you with us. Thank you for joining Live Conversations today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Prof, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Le temps ne nous permet pas d'aller plus loin. C'est intéressant de vous avoir et je sais que bientôt nous allons vous inviter pour parler en plus. Merci.
Okay, so thank you, our dear viewers. You've heard from Prof, and it is time for us to put preference on the inland waterways and gain the benefits from the subsector. Thank you for joining this episode of Live Conversations. We'll be back again next week with another interesting one. And we appreciate Stack Marine Offshore for their continued support. Until next Monday at 12 noon GMT+1, when Live Conversations will come your way again. It's bye from all of us at Maritime TV Africa. I am Asenime Azunani Fumawagogo, facilitated the French translation.
Merci, chers téléspectateurs. Le temps est écoulé. Nous vous disons merci d'avoir resté avec nous tout au long de cette émission. Vous avez entendu ce que le prof a dit. C'est à nous de profiter de ce que nous avons dans les voies navigables. Nous vous remercions. Nous remercions également Stack Marine Offshore pour leur soutien continu. Donc, ça sera à lundi prochain à 12h GMT+1 lorsque Live Conversations reviendra à votre rencontre. C'est au revoir de notre part. C'était votre hôte, Asenime Azuna, avec toute l'équipe de Live Conversations. Au revoir et à bientôt.
Au revoir et à bientôt. Thank you, Prof.
Wow.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sir.
I like that. All right, see ya.
Thank you.